各位观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎大家收看《天天话题》加拿大版风华资讯，我是主持人苏慧文苏丹娜。在人类文明的发展中，文学作为一种艺术的形态而存在，那么它也是人们表达情感、表达思想和表达价值的一种重要的形式。那它也引发人们对于生活、对于人性的思考。那文学呢，是艺术的灵魂。那么在很多人的青春时代当中呢，都有过对于文学的梦想和对于作家的梦想。那在温哥华呢，就有一位中学生，他敢于追逐自己的文学梦想，是成功的发表并出版了一部小说，并且呢，他的服装设计和他的画作呢，也是广受欢迎。那今天呢，我们就为大家邀请到了这位中学生 Peter Fu 和他的老师们来到我们的节目当中，与大家一起来分享他的文学梦想之路。Hi everyone, welcome to our show. So at the beginning, could everyone say hi to our audiences and make a short introduction?
Hello everyone, my name is Lisa Evans and I'm the head of Collingwood School here in West Vancouver. We are very excited to welcome you into our school.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Peter Fu, or Jinhao Fu. I'm a grad at Collingwood School in West Vancouver, and I am the author of All Under Heaven, as well as the illustrator and cover illustrator.
Hello everyone, my name is Brad Jolliffe. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Life here at Collingwood, and I also have taught creative writing.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us. So Peter, 我知道呢，你呢是非常热爱写作的。你可以在节目的一开始跟我们分享一下，为什么你会爱上写作，去想要写一本小说吗？ So at the beginning of the show, could you talk about why you fell in love with writing and decided to write a book?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't think I really fell in love with writing. It's always been a means to an end for me, and that might come as a surprise to a lot of people because they generally think, oh, you're such a great author, you're such a great writer, you probably love writing. Well, no, it's a means to which you can express ideas. I love ideas. That's the whole gist of this, right? All Under Heaven to me is an idea. It's less a book. It's more of an idea, and so, in my opinion, the best way of expressing this idea was through the book at this point. That's also why there's also art as well as fashion and costume in All Under Heaven as well. But the book itself just happens to be set within a grander sort of All Under Heaven universe. And it is a sort of a glimpse into what occurs within this world.
Yes. 那我知道呢，你也是非常的热爱历史，而且是读了非常多的历史的书籍。So you are very interested in history as well. So could you talk about your inspirations for the book and how your thoughts came into it?
Yes. So, I mean, just like how Tolkien or R. Martin were inspired by history in their writing of their books, it's sort of the same process, right? I'm sure they've also very familiar with history as well. You can tell if you read their books. But All Under Heaven sort of goes in the same way. I take certain influences and ideas from historical concepts, especially the concept of the collapse of multi-ethnic states and multi-ethnic empires. That is something that I researched that I use a lot of the research from this in All Under Heaven. As well, certain important things that I should point out is that in All Under Heaven, I focus on things that are more realistic. I'm more of a realistic fiction writer. I'm nothing against fantasy or anything like that, but All Under Heaven is not fantastical. It is a sci-fi book, but there is no magic, for example, and everything that occurs is somewhat within, at least I hope is somewhat within the realm of possibilities, right? So when it comes to, for example, governance or for example, there's a large amount of the book which is focused on conflict. And so these conflicts and the government, that sort of stuff is all very much based off of things that occurred in areas similar or analogous to what happens in All Under Heaven. So you take stuff in history, and you use it as a way to determine whether or not the book and stuff inside of the book is realistic, and it's an influence.
Yes, and you have lots of interesting ideas as well. 像是你在这本书中呢，就是有一个关于未来世界的一个构想，而且呢，你还是创造了3种不同的语言，新的语言啊，可以跟我们分享一下吗？ So in this book, it's about a world in the future, and also you created 3 different languages, new languages for this world. So could you share your creation to introduce to these audiences?
Right. So when we talk about Under Heaven, I think it's important first to consider the world in which it is set in. I'll try to go as quick as possible, but generally it goes like this. All Under Heaven is set on an exoplanet called Elysia in the 39th century. This exoplanet was colonized and terraformed by humans some point in the 25th or 26th century. However, right after this moment, right after there was a great amount of settlement from Earth on Elysia, there was a great apocalyptic event that nobody really knows what caused it, but nobody really knows what it was, but it pretty much ended what was a very modern and futuristic humanity. So after this point, technology rapidly collapses to and regresses to something like the Dark Ages, which forces a lot of but after this point, there's a sort of a rebuilding of civilization that occurs. By the 39th century, what has happened is there is this new great power in the world called the Celestial Empire, which governs the world, which is a theocratic monarchy of sorts that believes its rulers are descended from reincarnations, well, not reincarnations, but like physical manifestations of the primary god of their pantheon, called the Great Above, and the religion shuns the practices and pretty much anything to do with the world before the Great Apocalypse as something that was wrong and problematic and should be avoided, lest there be a second Great Apocalypse. This is why you'll see that they'll often refer to science, democracy, and communism, which are very common things that occurred on this pre-fall planet, as terrible things that should be avoided, because they could cause a second Great Apocalypse. And the main reason for this as well, this fear of doing something wrong, is because they believe there will be a second apocalypse at one point or another that might end all of humanity, right? Sort of like as the first apocalypse was caused by some sort of moral sin or wrongdoing, and that if there is no immediate change in the morality of humanity, then there would be a second great apocalypse. But this entire sort of fear and concern over the apocalypse is mainly caused by the lack of understanding of what caused the original apocalypse.
Yes, and it's very interesting, and that I believe that you put lots of work and time into it. So along this way of creating this book, have you met any obstacles? 有没有遇到过一些挑战？是怎么克服的？ So how did you overcome those obstacles?
Pressing obstacle was that I constantly tried to revise the book and try to change it, because I thought, like, I would write a bit and then my writing skill would improve, and then I'd think the old bit was bad. So the problem that I always had was that I would write a bunch and then I realized that the first part I didn't really like, so I had to go and rewrite the first part, and then that happened quite a few times. In fact, I actually had to rewrite the first chapter 11 times or something like that. There's probably hundreds of pages of stuff that no one will ever see because I think it's bad. But who knows? I have it in a folder and I might reuse it one day or another. So it's all an important aspect of sort of my development in creative writing.
And also along the way, the school and your teachers helped you a lot. So could the teachers share maybe how the school can help students like Peter to write, maybe through creative writing courses, and how you prepare them for university, which a better understanding of writing is necessary?
Yes, English is a foundational skill. At the youngest of ages, we call it language arts, and we really talk about the ability to read and write and to share your ideas. And so that is part of the curriculum right from our youngest students starting in kindergarten up to Peter's grade in grade 12. And what you see over the years is an evolution of skills and ways for students to express their ideas differently, with an emphasis really on exploring ideas, writing them, and then going back and iterating on your ideas. So Peter's comment about taking 11 times to write the opening chapter is an English teacher's dream, because it speaks about that desire to do more than one draft, to really work on the craft of writing, thinking about vocabulary, sentence structure, how the ideas flow. Am I actually creating imagery through my words? Is what I'm expressing something that somebody can understand if they just pick this up and they're in a different part of the country or the world from where I am? So I think it's those kinds of pieces of understanding about how to express your ideas, to find your own personal voice in your writing, and that ability to go back and say, you know, this isn't good enough. I really want to focus and refine and make this even a better piece of work that really holds students in good stead, in a good position to be successful, whether they're in school or heading off to their universities to study whatever topics they might need, because that ability to communicate is going to be central to life.
Mm-hmm. And also just one last part is that many of the parents are wondering that if their kids go on to writing books and novels, will it affect them in their school? How is Peter doing academically?
Yeah, Peter does really well academically. Throughout his courses, he's often extending on the range of skills that we expect students to do. And I think that comes from his willingness and openness to really think abstractly and creatively, which was probably born from his want and desire to actually write as a hobby, as a starting point, and not just academically. So I think they can complement each other really well.
是的 ，Yes, thank you for sharing. 是的，那么对于写作来说呢，其实对于学生的全方位也都是有一个提升的。So thank you everyone for sharing. And next we'll take a break. 那接下来呢，我们将休息一下，马上回来呢，我们将继续与 Peter 来一起聊一聊他在绘画艺术上面的成就。各位观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎大家回到天天话题加拿大版风华资讯，我是主持人苏慧文苏珊娜。那在接下来的节目当中呢，我们将继续与 Peter 和他的老师们来聊一聊他在绘画艺术上面的成就。那在节目的一开始呢，我们要有请 Peter 的老师来跟大家打个招呼。So could you say hi to our audiences and make a short introduction?
Yes. Hi, I'm Lori Geddes, and I'm a visual art teacher at Collingwood School.
Yes, thank you for joining us, and thank you again for joining us. 那么 Peter 呢，我知道呢，你是从5岁开始就热爱上了绘画，并且呢是在8、9年级就已经获得了 Visual Arts 的学术的奖项。那这次的你的书籍当中呢，也有大概15个插画，其中有一些呢是你在学校的这个 AP Arts 的课堂当中完成的满分的作品。那像是有一些呢，也是你的作品也是获得了像是 Reach for the Top 全球的一个创意写作艺术的一个奖项的银钥匙奖，还有就是故事的摘要也是获得了银钥匙奖。你可以跟我们分享一下你的这些插画、这些画作它的一个思路、它的一个灵感吗？ So could you first share on your inspirations, your thoughts on creating artworks?
Right. So the artworks work in a very similar way to the writing. As always, it's a means to an end. I like the idea, and art is a means to an end. For all of this, you know the old adage goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to All Under Heaven, I think it's important because there's such a focus on the world of All Under Heaven to have these illustrations in there to show stuff that the writing can't. For example, I'd say one of the most controversial art pieces that I've made, which is that one.
Oh, this one.
This is a propaganda poster from within the book. And that's an interesting thing as well, is that I don't hold the views that that propaganda poster is trying to espouse, but it is, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to show indirectly a perspective within the book that I think is a bit less focused on within the writing. So to try to save the writing space, and also because it's just going to not do it enough of a good job. What I've done is I've created a propaganda poster, which is, I think, in my opinion, the best way of showing this perspective. The other artworks work in a very similar way, but they're more, they almost always have a certain perspective within them. Now, the perspective at which I do my artworks, if they are within the worlds of Under Heaven, then they'll often take a perspective in one of the factions within the book, which you'll have to read to understand a bit more. But if there are artworks that are done by me in a non-book setting, such as that one, which originally I never thought I was going to use in the book, but it ended up working for the book cover, so I use it as a book cover as well. But this one is a bit more of a personal piece that I submitted for AP, and also for an awards to the Scholastic Arts competition.
Yes, and I believe the teachers also help you along the way in creating these art pieces. So could you talk about how the school helps students in their classes to promote them to get interested in arts and to creating the arts?
Yeah, I think with art at Collingwood, I think we try to give students a lot of personal voice in their work. So from the younger years, we give them a little bit less, and as they get older, we give them more personal voice. We want them to learn to create art as artists do, to create art that's personally meaningful to them, something that they're really passionate about. And I think that's where Peter came in. When he came into AP Studio Art, he was already creating art. So he was making these pieces, and then it just fit into the course work for what he was doing. But he creates artwork just out of the passion for creating it. Like he has so many ideas to put out there, and that's why he's making the art. And his skill is just, his skill was right there from the beginning, and it's just grown and grown because of his passion. He's just building on the skill in many different materials. So he's gone from oil painting to ink drawing to, even he included some sculpture in his work. So just he's really open to building on these ideas and creating his own work.
Yes, and the passion is actually very important.
Definitely.
是的，是的，因为也是有 Peter 的这个热忱啊。那么我们知道 Peter 呢，像他刚刚讲到说，其实他的这个画作跟他的这个写作其实是相辅相成的，可以有一个更好的向读者展示的机会。那这个呢，也是他未来的一个非常好的一个发展方向。But so we're talking about that Peter has found his way in the artist world, and so in Collingwood, but there's like students that may be looking for other ways that they could develop themselves and find a career in, because everybody is different, and everything that suits everybody will be different as well. So how does Collingwood help each individual students to help look for where they are really actually looking for, and help them in their future to find a career, to find a life they want to be in?
At Collingwood, we're really excited to really personalize the experience for students and the pathways that they can choose. So when I think about our school and what we can offer students, we say socially responsible students pursuing their passions for a better world. How do you take those passions and make the world better? And so whether that's through academics, arts, athletics, or service, we encourage students to find projects they're interested in, people they're interested in working with, teachers or lessons that they want to explore. So we challenge each student really to pursue more than one avenue. So perhaps somebody like Peter loves archery, but he also loves writing and he loves drawing. So how do we celebrate those successes? How do we find ways to challenge Peter and other students to maybe reach levels they didn't think they could? By encouragement, by providing opportunity, by figuring out, is there an obstacle or is there something that might be needed, a resource or an introduction or an experience that will even open more doors for them. We're really committed to that personalization of learning and of experiencing life, both inside the school, but then taking students on trips to art galleries, to presentations, to creative writing workshops, both here and further abroad. So how do we continue to create opportunities for students to be excited and to continue to find this passion and take it to the next level? So through the opportunities through our courses, our clubs, our trips, both locally, nationally, and globally, and through doing service projects and through doing leading activities here at the school, so passing the torch so younger students see what Peter is doing as a grade 12 student, and they say, I'm going to do that one day myself. Maybe my book's going to be different, but if Peter can do it, I can do it. So it's really inspiring the younger students who are coming next and passing that torch of creativity, of hard work, and that desire to know that you can achieve what you put your mind to.
Yes, yes. So it's very important for the students to be able to try different things to broaden their horizon， 就是让学生们呢有更多的机会可以去尝试不同的事物，也可以让他们可以开阔他们的视野。那 Peter， 我知道呢，在9月的时候，你刚刚是参加了纽约时装周，带了你5套融合了历史元素还有现代时尚元素的5套设计，并且是获得了时尚大奖。而且马上呢，明年4月你还要马上去参加 Yale School 他们的耶鲁大学的时装秀。那你可以跟我们谈谈你这5套设计吗？ So could you share the design, your inspirations for the 5 designs you had in New York Fashion Week?
So the designs are completely based on things from the book itself. So all of these fashion works are to one extent or another based off of artworks and other ideas within the books. I try to have a very sort of broad representation of things within the book. And so as well, in the fashion part, the sort of general inspirations for the cultures and ethnic groups within the book are sort of are shown as well, right? Because the main part of All Under Heaven as well, despite it not like it being a post-apocalyptic book, it's also got a very strong East Asian influence, and I think that was very important within All Under Heaven. It's sort of as well putting the reader right into the culture of the book. So you'll see, if you read the book, you'll see there's certain expressions or there's certain views on things that are very different, even from East Asian cultures in particular, because again, it's thousands of years into the future, and I've also changed a lot of things as well. But I wanted the reader to experience a sort of a culture shock, so that you can really sort of see that this is a different world, and sort of bridging communities through fashion and writing and the arts.
是的，就像 Peter 讲的哦，其实艺术呢是互通的 ，so different arts is related to each other. And when Peter has so many talents in the artist world, he can put everything together and make it in a better and perfect way. Thank you for sharing with us. 谢谢 Peter， 也希望你未来呢可以继续的在文学、在艺术世界里发光发亮。谢谢你的分享 ，Thank you everyone。也谢谢各位观众朋友们的收看，我们下期同一时间再见。
Thank you.